Alright everyone, not to sound too much like Sticks here, but we gotta talk about Elon Musk merely dropping an opinion into the Polosi saga and causing a maelstrom of spastic overload among the checkmark variety, and oh my goodness, has the meltdown been glorious. Now, unfortunately, the tweet has since been deleted, but as you all know by now, the internet is forever, and so the Daily Mail even was on the story faster than a fly on shit. Now, Mr. Musk decided to tweet out a supposedly fake news website at Witchery Clinton, the queen of I'm the saltiest bitch because a man I called an idiot beat me with no political experience whatsoever fake news. By the way, I have noticed any news story I ever do that features Clinton in the title so much never gets any traction. So I didn't, even if I still like ragging on the woman because the forest dweller clearly is insane. Now, from a journalism perspective, this story is so weirdly written and all over the shop. The first thing they do is try and discredit the story via claims from the LA Times, which, as far as credibility goes, is like Jeffrey Dahmer trying to lecture you on lowering crime. Now, I'll give the Daily Mail credit for one thing. They did actually post a link to an archive of the story, which is really odd in one breath to claim this is fake news, and yet in another go, here, read it for yourself. That's so even-handed it's almost suspicious. What, we can read it and decide for ourselves? The hell is going on? The story is significantly shorter than the mainstream narrative and just cuts through the BS and does make some stark claims, some of which are without evidence, which I can admit is a dubious practice at best. However, the official story has more holes than Swiss freaking cheese, and if you look at the video I did yesterday, I just blew the timeline to smithereens. And while I can't officially corroborate the so-called fake news site, their claims make a hell of a lot more sense, and would also fill in the gaps where the official story makes no sense and feels to be deliberately omitting some details to try and save face and disguise the increasingly obvious fact that Paul Polosi is a degenerate who prefers to enter the exit-only off-ramp. But let's try and read some of this. Author Stan Green claims in his honest opinion that Paul Polosi and Pepe, as I like to call him, met at a gay bar earlier that night and went to the home together, which instantly makes far more sense than some 42-year-old lunatic broke into an upper-class area of San Francisco of a well-connected political family with a hammer in his underwear who wanted to tie up Paul and wait for Nancy while he snuck away into the bathroom, called the police, claimed the guy was a friend but didn't know him, left the bathroom, waited for the police to show, never tied up Paul, and catch him apparently struggling for a hammer in the presence of the police. Okay now. Green offered no evidence to back up his claims, and police have not shared any information which confirms any of the claims made. Yeah, because the official story makes so much sense. And by the way, the only source we have for the official story is the police report, which I don't buy for a second. Polosi was previously sentenced to 5 days in jail in August after he crashed his Porsche while drunk this year. But there's no suggestion that he's gay or an alcoholic. Yeah, right. Musk's decision to say such an outlandish theory sparked fury on Twitter, just days after he bought the site and vowed to make it a paragon of free speech, which he did, and he should have kept the tweet out. Now, having said that, I went to his Twitter and he did address it in such a trolly Elon manner, and yes, I am back on Twitter, by the way, thanks to my pal Margaman for letting me back on. He had written in a message to advertisers on Thursday that while he wants the social media giant to become a digital town square, it obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape, where anything can be said with no consequences. Why the hell not, Elon? That sounds like so much fun. The theory seems to be predicated on a 911 call the 82-year-old victim made after Mr. X, 42, allegedly broke into his $6 million home and attacked him with a hammer while shouting, "Where's Nancy?" Authorities now say he had a bag containing multiple zip ties with him at the time, CNN reports. If CNN says it, I'm calling it fake news. Where do you keep the ties? He's in his underwear, there's no pockets. What, did he tape it to his leg or something? Well, looks like you're obviously not going to do anything about disinformation on here since you're spreading it as well, author Frederick Joseph tweeted. Oh, piss off, sunshine. Look, if fake news was going to be your measuring stick for ousting voices, literally every outlet that peddled the Russian election shenanigans over the last 6 years would be pulled from Twitter immediately. Every outlet remotely leaning to the left would be purged from the internet. Am I the only one pausing thinking that's a fantastic idea? But anyway, the Pepe, 42, had been accused of breaking into the Polosi San Francisco home in his underwear at around 2:30 a.m. Friday after apparently penning a manifesto containing anti-government beliefs and a list of other politicians he planned to target. Notice the language. Accused, apparently. That's not concrete, and then you wonder why so many people are calling bullshit on the story. He ran a blog filled with tirades against Jewish people, black people, Democrats, the media, and transgender people, creating over 100 posts in just the past few weeks, promoting far-right conspiracy theories. Ah yes, of course, because his home was filled with Rainbow Coalition and BLM-affiliated objects. Totally screams right-wing maniac. By the way, you notice there's no mention of the traffic to his blogs? Wonder why? In the article that Musk shared, Green also cited an unnamed source, claiming that Pepe, who has previously spoken out against a proposal to ban nudity in the Castro district of the city, is part of a group of really radically gay male prostitutes that parade around naked with tallywhacker rings. Which definitely does fit the guy's past arrest record, by the way. The unnamed source then goes on to claim that police were actually responding to a wellness check on the 82-year-old Friday morning, and when he didn't answer the phone, the cops broke the sliding glass door to get in. Which makes sense, because if you're potentially incapacitated in your own house, you're hardly going to go to the front door to let the police in. Nor do I buy the story that a third party let them in. How the hell was this third person inside the home, didn't know what was going on, but also somehow let the police in? The theory, therefore, directly refutes authorities' claims that the Pepe broke into the house, noting that as the Speaker of the House, the Pelosis should have amazing security. But even though Nancy Pelosi should have a full-time security detail with her as Speaker of the House, her husband would not have federal protection. As such, there is no evidence to suggest the source's theory is true. We literally have no evidence either, other than the story from the police here. And do I believe for a second that the police would not lie to save the ass of a well-connected political family? Hell no! No doubt in my mind they would lie. But to whatever Bellin wrote this shite, do you understand security does not exclusively contain itself to merely armed personnel? Authorities have said Pepe entered the Pelosi's house through a sliding glass door at the back of the house, with aerial footage showing broken panes of smashed glass at the door of the home. Okay, there is an easy way to prove this. Where's the security footage of the home? Because there are cameras there, and also the police surely must have body cam footage as well. He had, apparently, been targeting the House Speaker, authorities say, but instead found Paul Polosi, whom he asked, "Where's Nancy? Where is Nancy?" Apparently. Again. Pepe then allegedly tried to tie up Paul Polosi until Nancy got home, and by the time cops arrived at the property in the exclusive Pacific Heights neighborhood, he told the officers, "We're waiting for Nancy," which makes no sense, and again, allegedly. At that point, San Francisco Police Chief William Scott indicated there was some type of confrontation between the two men involving a hammer, but it was unclear who the hammer belonged to, if Pepe brought it with him or if Paul Polosi had it for defensive reasons. Scott said when his officers entered the home, they observed Mr. Polosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Polosi and violently assaulted him with it. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid. Scott noted the motive for this attack is still being determined. Do you see why I said we'll end up with more questions than answers? Now, with that being said, I am not a genius, I am but a humble metalhead who can dissect bad timelines. So I want to try my best, if not to debunk, at least cast doubt on damn near every last detail of this narrative. Let's start with the attire. How the hell did he make his way to the Pelosi residence in just his underwear? Well, presumably he took a car or someone dropped him off along the way. I mean, you can't just walk the streets half naked. Then the smashed glass. How does that not trigger an alarm or some response? Then for Paul to sneak off, supposedly then to call the police, claim to not know the guy, but he's a friend. What friend that you don't know breaks into your house to the point where you need to call the police over it? So he must have spoken to the guy at some point at the very least. And how did the police get in, by the way? And why do we not see any footage of this anywhere? Not the Pelosi residence, which has cameras, mind you, or the police. Zilch, not a nothing. They supposedly got in, how we don't know, to find David saying to the police, "We're waiting for Nancy." So what, you're telling me this guy wanted to tie up Paul, supposedly, but for some reason did not, had a change of heart, but clearly allowed Paul, apparently, to go into the bathroom, to come back out, stay in the residence till the police show up. They get in again, how we don't know, for the police to say a guy in his underwear claimed they were waiting for Nancy, yet found this guy and Paul holding a hammer, but they don't know whose hammer it was, if it was David's or Paul's he had for defensive reasons. If David didn't break in with that hammer, but he was just in his underwear, Well, he must have broken in with something else because bare skin against glass, he'd be bleeding all over the shop. So a semi-naked dude made his way to the residence, broke into the home to look for Nancy, but was supposedly trying to tie up Paul, who caught him, talks to him. Paul manages to sneak off, call the police, apparently, wait with this dude in his own house till the police show up. They come in, somehow we don't know, catch him with a hammer belonging to who they don't know, whilst also claiming he said they were waiting for Nancy, of which there is literally no evidence other than the police claim, but there was some sort of a disagreement which brought out the hammer, only for him to pull the hammer away from Paul and beat him in front of the police, in his underwear. This is the official story the mainstream media is running with, by the way. This is what the mainstream media thinks you are stupid enough to believe. Whereas if you believe the crazy alternative story that thinks Paul Polosi is a degenerate faggot who brought home potentially someone he knew, did not respond to a wellness call, whatever that is, which spawned the police, who broke in the back door entrance, and the hammer tussle, which again is not a euphemism, was a potential dispute over narcotics, and the where is Nancy and the plastic ties is pure bullshit, all of which makes far more sense than you are a dangerous threat to society, because how dare you think for yourself and point out the official story makes no bloody sense at all. But remember, the timing on all of this is totally coincidental and is not the frantic spasms of a press and apparatus so scared they're going to get blasted to hell in a few days, and so they're throwing out the most insane narratives out of sheer desperation. No, not at all. And you can easily tell this is what they're up to, by the way, because they are laying it on so thick. I will say the funniest thing Elon did during all of this was he was accused by the New York Times of spreading fake news. And he clapped back saying, no, I never tweeted the New York Times. Which is just smug face mic drop, bam, beautiful. Now, far be it from me to understand the mind of my countryman, though he undoubtedly does things that make me think, oh, you're definitely still a South African at heart. Especially his blunt mannerisms, very South African. We're known for being very direct people. But I think when it comes to combating the left in this sphere, Trump became the champion in a particular style of fighting. You could class him as the old seasoned warrior who, through experience, is tough as nails and can take the punishment like a rock. So we judge the battle in this very black and white kind of manner. Whereas with Elon, who is younger and infinitely more mentally complex than Trump, is a wholly different style of fighter. And to judge him via the strengths of the warrior class would do him a disservice. What Elon might lack in terms of brute force, he can make up for with shadowy craftness and wit. As if he can say to the media, you're big and clumsy and dull, and I'm agile and quick-witted. So I think with the media still stuck in this very Trumpian frame of mind, it has the potential to leave them very, very vulnerable in a wide-open position. I think Elon very well might drive them completely insane because when it comes to intelligence, he can run rings around these people all damn day. And that is all for today. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.